but the reaching for happens, like we don't reach for something if we're full. Like if I'm full, I don't eat anymore. If I'm hungry, then I have to reach for something, or if I feel that something is missing. For a lot of people, it happens more often with food, with substances, pornography for men and young boys, especially. We all have the things that we reached for or reach towards to fill in the space, right? Which goes back to that period, those 4 days in nature. Is a detox from the reaching. You can't reach for food, you can't reach for music, you can't reach for friends, you can't reach for entertainment, you can't reach for information. It's
I was
like,
gonna say information.
you can't. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with consuming a lot of information. But it is very limited. Like it fills your bandwidth with that. And quite often what I've seen, at least in myself, every time that I reach for something constantly, is that it is not about the thing, but it's about my awkwardness or discomfort around what my life will be and how I will feel if that was just empty space, free time.
Terrifying.
Most people are busy, not because they're busy, but because we're afraid of having free time. Like, what do I do with myself?
I think a lot of that for me personally, this is about me now. What for me personally was that I grew up and you weren't allowed to relax. God bless my mom, but like you weren't allowed to relax. Like you were not allowed to relax. You're punished if you were relaxed. So if I like the time to lean, time to clean, that like saying, that was like 100% in my house. So for me, it was like, I think if I was like reading a book, or if I was sitting with my dad's really intelligent, and if I was sitting with him and learning information, it was a way for my body to be able to have a break, So for me, it was like, I think I became addicted to consuming information, or like staying busy up here, so that I could physically be allowed to like not clean, and that's just the way she was raised.
My mom was the same way, clean,
and just clean, like what are you sitting down for? Like my mom would shoot herself if she had to raise my children that just love to like all of our kids love to just be online all the time chronically, right? But so I think for me it was probably like conditioning when I was younger, that was like, okay, I gotta fill this space somehow, right? Because you're not allowed to just be like this. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm just going to learn a lot. I'm just going to like imbibe as much information as I can, because I'm not going to get in trouble, because my mom will be like, oh, good, you're learning something, right? So I think that's also too, it's funny, you learn these bizarre coping mechanisms when you're younger, and God, they're really hard to shake off.
Yes. And when we were young, they were useful. Like that was your time of rest. If I'm reading a book, I'm not gonna be annoyed,
right,
or forced to clean when the house is clean already.
Yes,
right?
Which was always my house. Always, yes.
So in the moment, it was very smart way that your system found, like, you found an intelligent way to play the system,
right,
and
to
get
manipulate,
to get it, to get out of something that you felt at the core was not right. Right. So it's not a bad thing. It was it kept you from having to do unnecessary labor many times.
Ew.
The challenge comes when we can't, and this goes for all trauma. Where we cannot let that be the way in which, like, the problem is not the shoes that we wore when we were 5 years old, but if we're 20, 30, 40, and we try to wear, and we keep wearing those shoes, our feet are gonna hurt, and something's gonna feel like we're gonna break the shoes, and we're gonna break our feet. Trying to keep something that is not wrong. It's just, it serves its purpose, and it's it's
time to let it go.
It's time to let it go.
Why do you think empty space is so scary? Because I think we all kind of feel that way, and especially now, like I've brought it up a few times already, but like we do feel like we honestly always have a blue screen in our face. We've always got like a TV, a computer, a phone, something. And then if we're not doing that, it almost feels like a break. You're like, oh, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to go make food or something, which is still keeping you really busy though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why do you think, you can feel free to jump in too, but like, why do you think that we are all so afraid of that like quiet space, that 4-day break that you had from, you know, yourself and everything else? Like, in your just opinion, why do you think that? Like, why, in your opinion, do you think that? Because it's a real thing.
It's a huge
It's a real scary thing.
Yeah, well, this is the reason why during COVID, a lot of people lost it.
Right.
Because bars were closed, you're forced to be at home with your partner.
The divorce rate went up
32%
32%
suicide
higher.
rate.
Suicide rate
went
went
up.
up. Yeah,
Drug use.
because at the core of it, most people do not have a healthy relationship with themselves. I would say most people do not have a relationship with themselves, period.
Yeah, period.
Like, it's so much easier to live in function of others, taking care of others. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Always somebody needs something from them.
Yeah.
For mothers, always somebody needs something from you as well.
Yeah.
It's so easy to not have to think about you, what you want, what your life is about, because somebody always needs something. And if nobody needs something, probably the house needs something.
Yeah.
Like, right? You're constantly doing things for other people. And if not, then we have these devices.
Distraction,
that, like access to
everything.
eternal entertainment.
Yeah.
The challenge is that for most people to sit without a phone, without a book, without music on, creates a lot of anxiety.
So much anxiety.
Yeah, it creates. They feel uneasy. It's like, well,
why though?
if
That's
you're
so
by
bizarre.
if you're by yourself and you feel bad, you're in bad company. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
It's like you're.
But do you also feel like maybe it's a lack of practice? So going back to what I
100%.
said, I wasn't allowed to be back. Like if I was upstairs in my room, I would come in. Again, bless her, I'm not trying to shit on my mom. But she'd come in, she'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm just cutting out stuff to put on my wall, right? And she's like, okay, well, come downstairs and help me. I'm like, oh, right? So I think also too, and I had a child when I was really young, right?
Yeah.
This is just my experience, but I can bounce this off other people as well. I just didn't have time by myself to be by myself. So I do find now if I'm like, because I spend days by myself, I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I always have something kind of going on in the background, music or whatever. But I do find in like quiet moments, oh my God, even if I'm going to the bathroom, like even if I go pee, I'm literally like, I'm just finding things to think about. I'm finding stuff to think about, stuff to do, because I'm so ill-practiced with being by myself. And then I find when I am by myself, I'm just saying this because maybe people can relate to this, because I'm just a natural crybaby inside, okay? So like when I'm by myself, I'm literally like, okay, like if you're waiting in the car, someone's like, I'll be back in a minute, right?
Yeah.
And you're by yourself and you're like, I can literally feel myself go, I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. I'm so bored. Then I start like trying to people search or something. And then you rummage around in the car. It's like, it's like, I guess it's just not taught to ever be by myself, you know? And I think a lot of people are like that.
Well, most communities are. It's not like that except for indigenous communities that teach you, correct?
No, you don't need teaching about this.
Yeah.
Like, look at a kid. Does he need teaching about how to enjoy himself?
No.
Without anything? You can have a child, a baby, stare at a blank wall for days on end without boredom.
The good old days.
Yeah.
This is not something you learn. It's something you forget.
It's something you forget.
Yeah,
that's
and we forget it because parenting is the main place of the main breaking point. Society, culture. There's a lot of.
God, but even as babies, it's like ling 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 ling, like it's like distracting us. Always putting stuff in our face, putting stuff on the crib. So you're like, oh yeah, I guess this is cool. Got stuff to play with,
so
right?
It's definitely ingrained.
Like we're constantly being stimulated all the time. That when you remove that stimuli, it's like it feels like you're almost just floating in space.
Yeah.
You know, and it fills me with this like emptiness, and that emptiness makes me feel bad, I guess. You know, so I feel like a lot of people feel that way. I feel like a lot of people feel that way. But you know, in the thread of what we're talking about and what you were saying, like going away on that 4-day learning excursion and then coming back and feeling super different. I feel like for us to better know ourselves and better love ourselves and be better to everybody around us, these are like really fucking important things for us to do.
I think it is essential. Because it is only in that emptiness that you are in direct contact with the life that you are, without mediation, without distraction. And only if you can befriend that emptiness and that void, you can touch a part of you, the only part of you that makes life worth living. It's a spiritual journey to befriend that emptiness, because it's the void, is the fear, is the not knowing, like, I feel like, what is my life for? What am I doing here? Like, who am I? Why? If I'm busy doing something, I don't need to think about my life. If I'm here, like, what do I do with my time? Which is, what do I do with my life? What do I do with myself? But until we have learned to sit in that emptiness and let it has to break us first. Or at least we think we are. And from that breaking, then something else opens up. And that which opens up, we realize that just in that place, there is true fulfillment. And people are recently I read, somebody wrote this and I thought it was genius. Say, like, people are not addicted to love. People are addicted to chasing love. We're not addicted, like, let's say, this is one of my experiences. Most people don't want to be very wealthy financially. They wouldn't know what to do with their time. This is why so many multimillionaires, especially lottery ticket winners, they kill themselves very soon after. Or we see a lot of famous people that mess their lives up when they become really famous. Because the amount of choice and freedom and emptiness that comes after that is too much to bear. So most people, they're addicted to getting there. But people don't want to get there.
The chase.
Chase. To the busyness. And that's the thing. Like I like my experience from chasing women and drugs and partying. That was my way of that was my version of maybe consuming information. But mine was a lot. It hurt other people in the process. You know, you're not hurting anybody by like listening to a podcast. But like
medieval podcast,
medieval. So you know, within the range of our ways of coping, for sure, you know, there's somebody that goes out and abuses children, and somebody that works too much. Of course, there's
balance and
there's different degrees of pain that we can cause. But for me, ultimately, it was realizing like I can't get to a place of happiness by chasing anything externally, because most of what I wanted I will get or I will experience, and the emptiness continued. And I'm just seeking to fill that in with something. And it was, and I dreaded like those 4 days, and also different times that I went into that space. Like it starts with boredom, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know.
I can't get past that.
It's like, so when because I've like Nico, I've sat in ceremony, and Nico and I have a very similar past with drugs and unhealthy, unconscious sexual relationships. And I remember like the first time sitting in ceremony, it's like, well, I remember the first time I got sober. I was on my 4 months, and I went into a meeting, and I felt like there was these little monsters underneath my skin, just like trying to scrape up underneath me. And I sat there and I started crying, and I'm like, I don't know who I am. I don't know who I am. Just sitting there crying. I don't know who I am. And then some little Irish guy, I swear to God, he was an angel, because I never saw him in a meeting.
Little Irish angel.
Yeah, I never saw him in a meeting again.
I was thinking that.
And he comes over to me after the meeting, and he's like, Crystal, right? Dear, I want to tell you one nice thing. I hope you'll remember you're a child of the universe. Don't forget that. And all of a sudden, as soon as he said I was a child of the universe, it's like this weight lifted, and those little anxiety monsters just relax. And it's like, I was like, that's who I am. I am the universe. That is who I am. And then sitting in ceremony, it's like, at first you're sitting in ceremony and you're like, and and then you just like surrender. I have to say that a lot when I'm in ceremony. I'm like, just surrender, Crystal. Just
you're a busy brain and you're a busy body.
Yeah. And it's like, and then as soon as I surrender, the dance is on. The dance is on of alchemy within my mind, body, soul, and spirit.
How do you,
so
beautiful brains,
yes,
suggest then for people who can't just, or maybe young guys, right, or whoever, again, because we know you're listening, what are some, outside of like conventional, like go on to YouTube, do these mindfulness practices, because if those really work that effectively, like literally everyone would be doing it. What are some suggestions?
Yeah, what's your advice, Nico?
For like getting over, let's get to like the fact where you're like, even meditation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're just trying to like sit there, whatever it is, maybe it's guided meditation, maybe you're going real, like starting off real easy peasy and then moving up. I find for me and for this generation especially, it's trying to get over that boredom hump.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the part where people get really, you were saying the little monsters. For me, I start getting like phantom body pains. I'm like, I start lying. My body's like, oh, you know what? You should probably get up. Your back's really hurting. Like my body will start to like tell me like little cheater things. It's like, oh yeah, but you should probably start moving. I'm like, yeah, I should. It's been a long time. Like I'll start to like the boredom sets in, and then from there, I feel like that is a big monster to try to fight. So I guess asking Nico, but also you, but like how to fight the boredom monster without a little Irish leprechaun angel. Like
I know. I wish you.
All right, brains unite. Think of something clever. What do you think?
So, earlier you said if the mindfulness videos of YouTube work, then everybody will be doing that. They work for those who watch and practice, right? Like the diet and the workout plan works for everybody who follows the diet and the workout plan. The problem is that a lot of people watch the video, oh yeah, that sounds nice, and then
do you think it's just because they're not ready yet
however,
for it, or what?
No, so we need to be honest about where we're at. Meaning, if I can't sit still without like just kind of losing it, if I tell myself, I'm gonna go on a 10-day silent meditation retreat, I'm gonna fry my brain. I'm gonna lose it. It's not realistic. Right? If I pretend that I'm beyond where I'm really at. So the first thing is being honest. Like, how do I actually feel when I try to spend half an hour by myself without distractions? I can't do it. It's very hard for me. Nothing wrong with that. But if that's the truth, then a lot of people benefit. Okay, can you go for half an hour walk without your phone?
Okay.
Right? For some people, it may be music. Dancing, like surfing. Well, we all have our arts. Like if being still and just present feels like it's a huge leap. Then if maybe we can engage our body in something.
Okay.
Right? Some people take knitting. I forgot how you call it.
Yeah.
Crocheting.
Crocheting. And
they get into a flow. Those women.
Yes.
Oh,
So
it's medicine. That kind of stuff in the Mayan tradition. I'm sure in Colombia, it's like beading. That's all like that's their medicine when they get into that flow.
Most indigenous cultures, they all had a lot of like handcrafted artisanal things.
Right.
Part of that, sure, that was part of their commerce and tradition. But part of that is, even in Japan, like pottery making is a spiritual practice.
Okay.
Dancing in the Sufi tradition is a spiritual practice. Singing across all culture has been a way of getting to that place. So we need to find what works for us, right? So sitting, like closing your eyes and being there for a few hours right off the bat doesn't work for most people. Because there's too much,
like extreme, right?
It's too much noise. But maybe riding a bicycle and riding for half an hour, like they need to have both of their hands there, so they're not going to be using their phone. So that's progress. Now you're at least present with the landscape around you. Okay, then you do that enough. Maybe one day you're going to be able to be a few 10 minutes with the landscape
Yeah.
within you. So I would say that like there's it doesn't have to be sitting in a cave or with your eyes closed, but you can take progressive steps towards that. Arts and music and movement are incredible for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially if you feel like antsy.
Oh yeah.
Anxious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
Sports, like well, men and women, but I think for men, sports, soccer, football, it's so good because
It's amazing.
they're not in their phone and they're not thinking, like they're present. They're
Yeah.
looking where the ball is going and running. And
That was
and
that was my thing growing up.
That
and
is
still
it.
now. Yeah.
So
That's the only way. But I guess it's like I feel so content with just that level,
Mhm.
right? Like I'm like, oh no, it's good. I go for my 5Ks. I zone out. I don't even remember running them, like because I'm just so not going through my little hamster wheel in
Yeah.
my mind that I come back and I'm like, whew, I feel almost high. I feel really good. But because I get enough satisfaction there,
Mhm.
I don't feel tempted to go like, okay, well maybe next time I'll try it without music, and then maybe because I guess I'm like feeling, and again I'm speaking on behalf of the people because you guys are pretty advanced with a lot of this stuff,
Yeah.
right? So I'm trying to be the everyman, and it's like I sometimes wonder if the juice is worth the squeeze. You know, it's like, is that going to really be worth it? Like, how much is this going
It
to
is.
change my life? Like,
It's
how
gonna
much
be
if I
worth
sit in a cave for 2 hours alone? Like, how profound could that possibly be for me? And I think a lot of people think that. They're like, no, what I do right now works for me. I'm not jumping, like, off buildings of, like, just being so stressed and feeling so overwhelmed. Like, what I do now works.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there is, to you guys, you think that the juice is worth the squeeze,
Oh, 100%.
right?
Yeah, but you cannot. It's not. You don't squeeze the juice. It's more like a flower blooming. You
Yeah.
can't rush it.
No, it is.
You
It's,
can't
it's a
grab
flow.
tweezers and just because I want the fragrance now and the beauty now, then I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull it.
Yeah.
Is the flower? Is there more beauty and more fragrance when it has bloomed? For sure, but you can't rush that. So I would say, because I had this tendency before. What I experience within myself, what I feel when I close my eyes, like I wish everybody could have.
That's how I
Right.
feel as well. I'm
but-
like, why can't
but-
they feel what I feel?
But
Yeah.
but for me it was a long journey of fucking up, making mistakes, learning from them, having patience with myself, having periods of drugs, coming back from that. Like it was not just one day of
Right.
I wanna spend a couple of hours with my eyes closed. I feel that when like it can only happen when you really want it.
Right.
And for most people, if they don't need it, they don't want it.
Yeah.
So nothing wrong with that.
Exactly.
That's why, like, most of my 20s, I didn't have the slightest pull towards meditation or any spiritual practice. All I wanted was to get laid. My hormones were like, I want women and I want pleasure and I want fun, validation, and social spaces.
Yeah.
And that's what I was chasing.
Yeah.
And that was my truth in the moment. Sure, a very limited truth and driven by my compulsions.
Yeah.
But that became the bridge into my next step because through following that, I ended up in a relationship that I eventually, I don't want to say that I destroyed it, but
Yeah.
that I led into a very ugly place. And then the pain of that was like, okay, I can't keep living like that.
Yeah.
Before that, many people told me, "Oh, Nico, you can't keep living like that. You shouldn't drink so much. Oh, you should maybe
Yeah.
like take it easy with the drugs. Or maybe you shouldn't have open relationships the way you're having it."
Yeah.
A lot of people came and tried to tell me, and that's like the friend that tells you, like, "Oh, you should meditate. It should be good for you. You will
Yeah,
feel so much better. You will feel more at peace." It goes through one ear, it comes out
Right
the
on
other
the
because
other.
it's like the person that, and it's unfortunate. A lot of people just get their health together, start working out when
Yeah.
they're diagnosed with some
I was gonna
illness.
say that. I was gonna say that it usually takes like tragedy or something like to shake up your everyday life for you to want to seek these corners of the world where it's you know you have to be inward more, and it's unfortunate that that's the way because it would be so much better. And I actually think about this all the time because I have horrible death anxiety, and I always think like, I need to be like actually practicing these things, because when inevitably grief comes to my doorstep, I feel like I want to be better prepared than being like, oh shit, I feel confused and going through this whole cycle of like, when I'm smart enough to know that I should be applying these things now, you know, like I really should, because as we talked about at the beginning, death is inevitable and grief is inevitable, and if it's such a scary monster to me, I should be not waiting until it's there to deal with it, you know?
Yeah.
But unfortunately you see that, like you said, with health, you see that all the time. People get like, oh, you got type 2 diabetes, like, oh shit, they changed their whole life, but they were perfectly capable of doing that before. You just need that nudge towards that, you know?
Yeah. I don't think you need it, but most people do not have like, even a donkey moves forward if you beat him hard enough, you know, like pain like makes us grow.
Yes.
100%. But it is not the only way that we grow, right?
Yeah.
Just that the other ways of growth are subtle. It's like it's not life crushing, and you know, it's not a divorce, physical illness, and the death of a loved one. Like life is constantly whispering to us, like probably what we should be doing, what we should be stepping into.
Yeah.
But most of us, for most of our lives, are used to, oh no, like we need to be nudged and slapped, and then okay, I'm sorry, and I'm changing my life. And we go through these waves until we realize, you know what? Like, okay, like I don't want to have to surf pain every time that I'm gonna grow.
Yes.
So I'm gonna be proactive. I'm gonna take good care of my health. I have a feeling that this could be useful for me.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do that. I feel like I should I could benefit from spending more time with my wife. I'm gonna do that. Not when she's like angry or when she's ready to leave, like that. I should have sent her flowers. Yeah. That's the learning is gonna come. Like life is constantly giving us signs of where our next step of growth is. But whether that is a whisper or like a yelling and a big nudge, like how hard life has to shove that on your face and down your throat depends on you, right? And it's a lot easier when we follow the thread of that subtle whisper. Beautiful. It's like that, like you let inspiration drive you. You anyways have to grow. There's no choice of, I don't want either, I'm just gonna be here fine, and no, it's gonna happen. The pain is gonna come. It need not come if we listen.
Right.
But that's the hard part. Like we're not taught how to listen. Most of our parents did not model how to do that. So I think a big part of our generation is redefining that and learning, like, oh wow, maybe there's a different way in which I can live, where I'm not waiting for punishment or for pain to come so that I do something about life.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I like the fact, actually, we're lucky enough like that we have good coaches for our kids. Number one, her husband.
Yeah, like in the sports world.
In the sports world, that with the boys, Coach Donnie, he actually gets the boys to meditate.
Nice.
Like, I was like, you're hired.
Like, I'm not going to pay you anything, but you're hired.
You're hired. And so I was like, wow, I'm like, this is something that I find, especially the boys that are from 10 to about 20. Don't get me wrong, girls need it as well, but I feel like that meditation for them can bring them so much. I think it should be put in schools, to be honest with you. And how I teach my clients that are like, I'm like, okay, I want you to start meditating, and they get freaked out. And they go right away to somebody sitting in a cave and like, and I'm like, no. I say, guess what your exercise is going to be? I said, I just want you to do 3 breaths. That's it. Just 3 breaths. Take a breath in. And on the out breath, you're going to connect your roots like you're a tree down to Mother Earth. And I said, that's it. I want you to try and do those breaths as many times as you can throughout the day. If you only get it done once, that's fine. But if you can do it while you're sitting in the car at a red light, or you're sitting on the toilet going for a poop schmoop, take 3 breaths while you're there, while you're cooking, doing the dishes, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just implement. So what I try to do with, like, because you're like us normies over here, what I try to do to make it feel a little bit less intimidating for people that are just fresh into this dance of spirituality. It's like I try to make it simple. So then it's not something that they're scared of. And then they'll share those little exercises with either their partners or their children, because I do a lot of exercises to help implement with the kids. I'll be like, do the eye gazing with the kids, you know, like play a game. Whoever blinks first loses. And I said, when you're looking at your child, I said, tell them words of affirmation, of love, and through your mind. Like when I used to do it with Caden, I'd be looking at him, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, so much, you're so amazing. And he'd be like this, and he's like, you're doing something funny. I'm like, and I'd blink, and he's like, just one.
Yeah.
So it's that.
There are little things that you can do.
It's the littlest, tiniest things, and I feel like for me, ceremony is my life. So it is really getting up and being like, you're amazing. I love you, Crystal. And I'm so proud of this body. And I'm so proud that you want to know you more. And then I'll wake Caden up and I'm like looking at him and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. And I'll say these words. And then I take my breaths when I'm driving him to school. I do my affirmations with the dog and I do my Kegels in the car. And I try to implement ceremony through all of my daily routines, and that's what I try to teach my clients. It's like, it doesn't have to be this whimsical big drums and rattles and all of this. I said yeah, that can be part of your ceremony. I said, but I want mine to be a daily thing, so I'm choosing to consciously be conscious in my everyday movement. Do I do it? No, but I try my hardest. And those tiny little exercises I find really just make it simple for people. So that's my answer to your question.
I like it. That's a good answer. So implementing smaller practices every day.
Yeah.
And just watching those grow, like you said with the flower.
Yes,
right? Just planting that
grow.
seed and then watching it become something potentially bigger.
I've got a question for you, Nico. I'd like to kind of like sway the topic just a tiny bit. I think we're almost going on an hour, so I think
Our producer daughter, did you say 2 hours?
Yes.
oh, okay.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we'll try to wrap this up soon. We've
Yeah.
taken lots of Nico's time
Maybe
here.
it might have to be a 7 and 8. Nico, you might get double, baby. Okay. Before we wrap up, I would like to talk about young men. This is what I'd like to talk about. And I'd like to talk about...
Where to meet them.
Yeah. Yeah, Nico. 30 and up, though. No, 35 and up. Oh, my gosh. 35 and up. Nico, don't make me shy. What would your advice be to, let's say, 14 to 24-year-old boys that are out there right now, going through what you've went through, feeling awkward, feeling like they haven't been taught how to communicate with women, about their sexuality, about
just social pressures, peer pressures,
everything.
So
What would your advice be to these beautiful young men?
I don't know if they need advice.
Okay.
Like what you hate the most from your parents when you're a teenager is their advice.
Okay.
They need for the adults to model what it's like to, like, let's say, to be a man. They
What
need
about
they need
single moms then?
okay
On that as well. Yeah.
I'm gonna speak from a place where I don't have kids, so
Okay.
this is an assumption.
Yep.
That is not rooted in direct experience.
Yeah.
But in what I see, like, for example, with my clients, sure, many of them, their moms are ugly, or they passed away, or they're distant. But when I bring them into my space, for the men, or sometimes for the women too, there's at least a loving feminine figure. So if my intention is to provide a nourishing space for a life, let's say a child or a teenager, I'll see it as my responsibility that they're in connection with as many healthy role models of both masculine and feminine adults as possible. So maybe a lot of women, a lot of single mothers may not like this, but you cannot teach a boy to be a man without losing yourself in the process and losing a big part of you. Like, you can't play both roles. Most single mothers, they do extremely well at providing both what, like, the father and the mother role. Like, I don't want to diminish the, like, what it takes. It's not an easy job. My dad was raised by my grandma as a single mother, and she did extremely well with him, and she would have done better if she had support from healthy men around her. She would have kept more of her femininity down the road as well. So
Oh, Crystal, no.
so
Oh, it's okay.
This is a bit of a hard one. I asked the bloody question too.
We're gonna get you guys to pay extra for this scene.
it is not a small task that you're doing. And here's something else. It doesn't mean that the child is gonna grow up in a twisted way. No, I think no toxic father is 1,000 times better, or let's not use the word toxic, but maybe unconscious or distracted even. Father is 1,000 times better than having a father that is, like, okay, because you're gonna in many ways model the masculine and the feminine for your son. If you have a healthy masculine and a healthy feminine, you can do a lot of good for him. But if there's a father in the, like, if he's in the picture and he doesn't have his shit together, that is detrimental, right? So I think in many cases women will benefit from like shaking hands with the shitty choices they made, even if that's the father of the kid. Many times that is the best thing to do for everybody involved. Now, from that point, I will say it is important that young men have connection in some way to healthy role models. And a healthy role model is not you come and you tell them like, hey, you should follow this guy or you should watch videos. No, like for a teenager, like we choose our own role models. And there have to be men that we can look up to. Sport is a great thing because of that, because an older guy that is fit, that in martial arts, that kicks my ass, but is gentle and is strong and confident, then suddenly the teacher of the dojo becomes a man I look up to. And if he walks with integrity, I may want to walk with integrity too. But he's not coming and telling me I'm a good role model of masculinity, do what I do. No, it has to be earned. With young men, you earn it. The problem now is that attention is earned by the one that sings the nastiest songs, has the most money, and the most women around. So like the famous rapper with the unbridled sexual expression, it's usually like it gathers a lot of attention. And that's what a lot of young men orient themselves towards. I want to be like that because that guy seems to be respected. So telling a kid to do not follow this, do not do that, is a guaranteed way for them to do that. So what we want to do is not demonize poor choices, but try to create a space where healthier opportunities are available. I think number one, so important that young men get to hang out or at least know of men with integrity, that they feel like he's a cool guy, I would like to be like him. And they can see, because a man with integrity is usually respected by the community and it's a leader, and when he speaks people listen, and young people pick up on that very quickly. They can see, wow, this guy when he says something, like, people listen and people trust him, and they see that it's not because he it's not because he has money or he has women, but it's because he has integrity. So the more that they can be exposed to that, unfortunately, there's not a lot of places where that can happen.
I was gonna say that there seems to be a real lack to bring it onto the football field, because that's how we met. Yeah. Right. I say it all the time, and I say it because I think it breaks my heart, and I just have to. I'm just that type of person. I need to say it, or else it like really upsets me. When I'm sitting on the sideline, you know, you can imagine it. Think of a soccer game, right? You see all the moms with their folding chairs, the parents with their folding chairs. When you go to football, and I go onto the field to go talk to the coach, because I'm a manager, right? So I'll talk to the coach, and then I go to say something about the parents. I look over, it's shocking. Mom, dad. Mom, dad. Mom. It's like a sea of single women out there. Yeah. And then you see the few men, like 6, 7 guys, like we call them dad coaches, right? The dad coaches who are on the field 4 times a week, communicating with each other when the times that they're not on the field, like really committing to this, really committing to these young men, and really committing to seeing this whole thing through. But I swear to you, every time that I do that, it breaks my heart and makes me feel so like a kind of a sense of helplessness that it's almost like we can have all of these really good ideas and we can say, yeah, that's so obvious. We need men with integrity, you know, we need that kind of king archetype. Yeah. But then when you actually look in real life, you're like, what? There's 6 of them here, even though there's 50 children on this team, and now I'm seeing like 45 single moms. Yeah. You know, it's so hard to find that.
It's the thing. I feel like it's like Caden, I'm lucky enough that me and my ex-husband have a beautiful relationship, but he lives in England. Far. He's far, right? Yeah. If he was here, it would be different. He would right, but he's in England. But it's the one thing that I feel for women is this is where I'm at with my journey right now, Nico, and that's why I got upset inside, because I talked to my ex-husband. I said, I don't want to be masculine anymore with him. I'm like, he's 14. I want you to be the dad. And I'm like, I know it's hard because you're there, but he's like, no, no, I get it, Crystal, I get it. I'm really going to start like texting him way more and stuff like that. And it's because as a woman, how am I supposed to be dropping to this divine feminine energy when I have to do everything, like everything? Yeah. So that's why I got upset, because I was like, I just want to feel that. I want to feel what being fully feminine for my son is, without having to worry about the bills, worry about this, driving here, cooking and cleaning, right? And it's just like,
and that's outside of your chronic concern that he doesn't have that, like you were saying, consistent like male role model with integrity.
Well, I'm just lucky we're in football and I'm around amazing male coaches for him.
So that's a big thing, right? It would be if you're at that age, if you're like a single mother, let's say, I think that's really important. Just finding communities like that.
It is. It's community, isn't it?
I like your example with the mixed martial arts. I find that you see a lot of that there. You do see a lot of that there, where you have like really beautiful men, and because it's such a physical thing too, I like how like something very physical can become something so meaningful up here with them, you know?
It straightens you for sure. Yeah. Like martial arts sports can straighten a guy that is like running loose. Yeah. Something else is, and this one is hard, parents want their kids to be strong, to be confident, to live life on their own terms, to take shit from nobody, but from them.
Yeah, it's true. I say it to my husband all the time. All the time.
It's not gonna work like that. And a part of that, especially with teenagers, is to give them room to, let's say, if you're a single mother, treat him like a man. Like, see him as a man, don't see him as a boy. Yeah. Let him lead.
Let him lead.
Like, or I love, let him choose where you go for dinner on a weekend. Okay. As soon as he can drive, let him drive you. Like give him spaces where he can start
to be the man.
to be the man.
That doesn't even have to be a single mother. Like
No,
men,
that's
general,
fathers
yeah.
can implement
General.
that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just letting him, and also when you see that there's some leadership, some self leadership, respect that. Like if he says no, I don't want to go there, like because my experience was the opposite. Like my mom was overbearing for many reasons, but I would say like no, I don't want to do that, and I was forced to that. So deep inside I understood that, or like why even bother leading or choosing
if you're gonna get shut down all the
if
time.
somebody is gonna choose for me, like whatever, then I just
Totally.
then why care anyways,
Yeah.
right? So giving them space to make their own decisions and make their own mistakes.
Yes.
A lot of times parents try to
That part's
protect us from
Yeah.
fucking up,
Yeah.
and that's what we need. What we need is not for our parents to shelter us from life. What we need is for a safe space for us to come and tell our parents like, oh, I got in trouble.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the last person that your children come to when they're in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's usually and parents are usually the last people that kids go to. They usually go to their friends, to somebody else, to the fun uncle, somebody else, but
To the
parents.
fun uncle.
We've all got one.
So letting them lead when they can, respecting when they say no, like treating them as men. And well, I mean, this is maybe advice or suggestion more for the parents, but for young men watching this, I would say to really explore and feel into what they're passionate about. And it may feel very vague because you've only lived 14, 15, 18, 20 years. You're not going to know what you're going to do until the day that you die. That's a lie, that you have to know exactly what you're going to know. But you know what you want to do in that moment. No matter how silly it feels or it seems. I want to be a musician. You all right? Like and I think for parents to nourish that, but never to nourish mediocrity. Like, all right, you want to learn to play music, or you want to learn to music, like you go balls deep. Like you train commitment.
Yeah.
And for them, because I feel that like for as a teenager, the teenagers that become the criminals or addicts or just start leading a very chaotic life is because there's no leading force, there's no guiding light in their life.
Yeah.
Usually, and there's not enough of a structure or set of values for them to fall back on. A guiding light is something that is meaningful.
Yeah.
Or at least joyful for them to do. Doesn't mean that that's what they're gonna do for work for the rest of their life, but like I wanted to join martial arts since I was very little, and I don't know if my parents couldn't afford it, or it was just a little too far from home.
Yeah.
I ended up going when I was in my early 20s when I lived in Montreal, but when I went through that, I realized how much pain and suffering and chaos and things it would have saved me from if I had done that when I was earlier.
Yeah.
Because it sorted me out. Like suddenly I'm training, so I can't party on a Monday because I'm training tomorrow. So I start partying less. Oh, this guy beat the shit out of me, and I see that he eats clean. And I'm just like, fucking. Oh, I need to eat cleaner.
That's beautiful.
Oh, I have this. Oh, I have this.
Gorgeous.
I have this.
That's my language.
She's like, yeah.
I have this
language.
I have this competition coming up, and you start getting organized.
Yeah.
Because you have something that is meaningful to you.
Yes.
Like for me, my wife, my relationship was a big part of that. Like having someone that I loved so much and that was not taking shit from me, started to organize my life. Like, okay, I guess I can't just be going on Tinder dates all the time. I guess I can't do that. Oh, I guess I have to get like my shit together. I guess because there's something to focus on.
Yeah.
That makes it worthy. That keeps you focused. That's what the young men need, something to focus on. That they like, not that their parents like.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
And it can be silly. It can be juggling. It can be skateboarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can be dancing.
Yeah.
I think what the parent should nourish is commitment. Like, all right, you're gonna do it. Like, you really wanna do it? Then minimum 6 months to a year commitment. I'm gonna sign you up for this, or like
you're committed.
Yeah, like
nourish the
you're
commitment. I like that. Nourish the commitment.
We're getting that on shirts, guys.
We're getting that on shirts. Nourish the commitment.
Okay, well, this is probably going into like bazillions of hours. My producer daughter looks very stressed.
Yeah.
I can feel her stress for the last, like, I'm in a time warp, but like all of us are pretty empathetic. All you can feel is this like beacon over there being like, the video is going to stop. Oh my God. We need a second camera on this side just to capture Kalea's constant anxiety. Okay,
So thank
Nico,
you.
thank you so much for doing this. Really, truly, thank you for being our first guest. And you're such a good one. You've taught us so much because now we are a little bit better at being with a guest. And we're still sharing a microphone. So maybe we'll have to get 3 microphones going. And we would ask, please, that you shamelessly plug yourself. Yes. So please tell people how to find you on social media.
Yes.
And shamelessly hold up your book.
Shamelessly.
This is a shameless podcast.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
To those of you watching, my book Grace, A Practical No Bullshit Journey from Pain to Purpose is on Amazon. You can find it online. Number 1. Number 2, you can find me at Nicolas Canon on Facebook or on Instagram at Nico Canon and then underscore.
Perfect. And we'll add that
put all
to...
that. We'll put all that in for you.
So
and on YouTube, Nico Canon.
Oh, you
I have a YouTube channel with with a lot of different interesting things.
Yes.
And we both found out today that we have a lot of German followers. Yes. So that's really random and awesome. You Germans are great. Okay, we're gonna say goodbye. We don't have any great outro. No. We go out the same way we come in, which is just an obnoxious goodbye.
We could do a little.
Oh yes, wait. Let's do a guitar. Let's do it.
This is better than ours. We usually tell our viewers to fuck off. So
this
is way better. Oh my gosh.
But you need to sing something.
No, I want the. Hey, you know what song I want? The Snake song. I like
it. You want the Snake song?
I do. I do. It's my. Well, his
I'll play.
wife is amazing.
I'll play a different one.
Okay. His wife is a beautiful singer, actually.
My goodness! That's way better than our ending. Thank you, Nico. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Okay, but guess what? Bye, fuckers. You stay. Bye.